are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously.
You ever get the feeling that everything in America is completely fucked up? You know that feeling that the whole country is like 1 inch away from saying, that's it, forget it. Let's see,
Hey, twist around. Now look, here's a house full of bees. You think the honey badger cares? It doesn't give a shit.
Listen, let's get one thing straight.
Price is right.
Guns don't kill people. I do.
Blame it all on my roots. I showed up in boots. Ruined your blind tie. The last one to know. The last one to show. I was the last one you thought you'd see there. I saw the spotlight and the fear in its eyes when I took a glass of champagne. I toasted you, said, honey, we may be through, but you'll never hear me complain. 'Cause I got friends in low places where the whiskey rounds and the beer chases my blues away. And I'll be okay. I'm not big on social graces. Think I'll slip on down to the oasis. So
Well, at least I got to hear that song twice today. So
not nearly enough, by the way.
It's nice. Did you hit record?
Looks like I did.
All right. Good. We're off to a great start.
Yes.
We just had to start over because we were halfway through probably, in my opinion, the best episode we've ever done before. And we didn't record it.
Yeah. Second best.
Second best.
Yeah. The beginning of the Buck Johnson interview was probably our first best. We didn't record that either, by the way, incidentally.
I'm going to say third best.
Okay.
Today was our third best. Second best was the non-existent Buck Johnson. First best, when you were in full roid rage and the podcast almost ended. And you went outside and started beating a rock with a stick, screaming at the top of your lungs. I had to wait in my kitchen like, we'll just talk about this when he comes back.
Dude, when our buddy had to go on prednisone, and he did a pretty healthy dose for like a month.
Yeah.
My experience with roid rage he said was so helpful. He was so grateful that somebody else knew what he was going through.
Yeah.
If you've never done it, it's the best thing in the world and the worst thing all mixed together.
Yeah.
I recommend it just, so you know what it's like.
Yeah. He told me when he went on it, I was like, oh yeah, here you're on the prednisone. He goes, yeah. I was like, oh man, listen to this story. He was laughing his ass off. I was like, from what I know that Kelly went through, the key is to recognize it welling up in your system and be proactive.
Yeah.
Like, go for a quick jog, do something. Yeah. Just don't be around other people. Just recognize the symptoms. And he controlled it pretty well. But
as long as you're not around other people, it doesn't do any damage.
No.
And maybe to some of your stuff.
Or your drywall or something like that.
You can fix all that.
That's your hangover kicking in?
Yeah. I'm not like...
So you guys went on the skunk train up to Fort Bragg?
Yeah.
I still have not done that.
I highly recommend it.
Is there a lot of people?
They do a train every half hour.
Oh, okay.
So there weren't a ton. In fact, we got onto the last car, which is actually the first car, but there's nobody on it. It was just the six of us.
Oh, nice.
And the conductor named Nick, this 21-year-old kid who has chosen as his career to be a train conductor.
That is rad.
I'm like, that's a career? He's like, oh, yeah. He goes, when they open up the tunnel from here all the way to Willits, because there was like a landslide or something that wrecked the tunnel. So there's a skunk train from Willits to the mountain that's collapsed. And there's a skunk train from Fort Bragg to that other end of that same tunnel.
What
they
powers
don't go all the way through like they used to.
What powers the train? It's not coal. Is it old school?
I think it's diesel.
Diesel?
Yeah. No, there's no smoke.
Back in the day, the guys that fed the trains, they're called coal heavers. And that became an insult.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Your father was a coal heaver. I might bring that back.
How could that possibly be insulting?
No idea. Apparently it was a low-paying, not fun job.
We only hire retards for this job.
It's like calling someone a drywaller today.
I love my drywaller.
Does he love his job?
He seems to, although he tells me constantly that he should have
Are you hiring?
paid more attention in school.
There you go.
We ran into this. There's a really good pizza spot in Fort Bragg that the people that like came up with the pizza recipe actually worked at Russian River Brewery.
Oh, really?
And they took their pizza there. And I think they actually
surprising. Russian River is one of the better pizzas here in town.
Oh, yeah. I think it's the best one in town for sure.
Yeah, I can't think of a better one.
But they don't do any they do takeout, but it's not. You can't just go in. Going in there is like going into the lion's den sometimes. So it's you don't really just go there for. Yeah, you're getting into a bit of an ordeal when you go there.
It's a curse and a blessing because 1 block from my house, there's a pizza place, which is like an establishment of the neighborhood.
Right.
It's like been there forever. They hire all the high school kids. So it's like a really cool vibe. It's like the neighborhood's like really proud of it.
Totally.
And just the pizza is like,
it's not
4
good.
out of 10 maybe.
Yeah, it's not good.
I've cracked the code a little bit, super thin crust. And I was like, almost burn it, like cook the living hell out of it.
Okay.
Which it makes it better. It gets it up to like maybe a 6 out of 10.
Pizza's got to be the easiest thing to just tweak until it's right.
Yeah.
That's all you make is pizza. It's not like you have to know how to do that and the lasagna and how to, you need a chef in there or anything. No, you just have to get the pizza right.
There's just weird shit though, because it seems like.
Do you think that, hold on. So do you think that there's it seems to me like everyone agrees.
Trust me, folks, we're going to get into the world ending here soon enough.
Everyone agrees that the good pizza in town is the best pizza in town. I think that's you never have anyone going, no, Mountain Mike's. That's that's the pizza. Little Caesars does the everyone agrees that the good pizza is good.
Yeah,
right. Do you think there's people that like your neighborhood pizza shop here?
Yeah, but
more than they like Russian River's pizza.
So we have to make a delineation here. Is that I have friends like this. They just don't really I'm a geek for food, like good food. I think some people just don't really care. Because I know some people say, I think Chipotle makes the best burrito. I was like, okay. Well, I also don't want to hear what your favorite band is because you're truly a flawed human being.
Well, that's a little different, though, because I think there's some things about Chipotle that you could defend.
Like what?
Their ingredients are very fresh and very...
That doesn't necessarily make a good burrito, though.
I know. I'm just saying there's things you could defend.
Yeah.
Where
yeah. So you're saying.
Little Caesars pizza, there's no redeeming quality.
It's not even food.
All right. Anyways, let's get into the world ending.
Enough pizza talk. You following what's going on in Japan right now?
Yeah.
I thought you were. So shout out to James. Oh, by the way, at the market down the street from my house, they hired this kid.
I hate him.
Do you
love him?
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Dude,
at one of the checkers?
The most intense, resting serial killer face I've ever seen in my life.
Is he one of the checkers?
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
He gives you the dead shark eyes and just stares at you. Yeah.
And he makes meaningless conversation way...
This might be a different kid. This kid says nothing. He just stares at you with the most
Oh, no. This is the same kid. I'm sorry. I was thinking of someone else with the... Yeah. You're right. Yep. Almost aggressively asks you the questions that he has to ask.
Yeah. He has this look in his eye. My wife had a theory.
Do you want the receipt?
Yes. Dude, that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got the look. I don't quote Roxette songs very often, but my wife had a theory. She goes, I think I was like, I think it's just his disposition. He doesn't mean to come across that way. So it's like, I don't really want to make fun of him. You know what I mean? If that's just
he might actually be a serial killer.
Yeah.
Looking for some.
My wife had a theory. She said, and she's much more cued into things like this than I am. She goes, he reminds me of a guy that just spent so much time like playing video games, like in his room alone. Like he just can't read social cues.
Any social cues. Well, some people are born that way too. And I think the way some people are, born with autism, whether they are or not, like some people are born, their brains just don't work quite that way. Although maybe I'm wrong, because that has increased exponentially in our current age. Like way more people like that than there used to be.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, interesting.
But I went there to get some beer for this episode, and he's just like, he just stares at you like this deadlock. You're like, it's almost uncomfortable. And I had a hat on, and he rang me up, and I was getting ready to swipe my card, and like the prompt didn't come up, so he hadn't done his part. Yeah. And he's just staring at me, and I look so I can see it, like the brim of my hat comes, so I see his eyes. I just see these two eyes like just peering into my soul. And like we stood there silently for a while, and I finally had to go like, "What's up, dude?" He goes, "Can I see your ID?" I was like, "Yep."
No, never mind. I remember I have plenty of beer
Scratch
at home.
off my address real quick. Okay, here you go.
Oh boy.
So
I left my gun in the truck.
Japan. This is a shout out to James because he sent this to me last night. Oh, by the way.
This is exactly what you did a second ago. And then you went, oh, by the way, and then you went off on the serial killer for no reason.
This shit's important.
Okay.
We haven't hung out in 2 days. I'm sitting on a metric shit ton of raw milk. So I got some for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have been listening to a podcast lately. I found the guy through Clint Russell, I think. He came on, and you probably heard it, and they were just kind of all over the map talking about things. But he does a lot of podcasts on the Ray Peat guy. I've told you about him before.
Ray Peat, it's not ringing a bell.
He's a health. He's dead now, but he's a health guy that actually encourages people to get a little bit more sugar in their lives.
Yeah. Okay, I remember you
He's
telling me
not
this,
a big fan of the all carnivore diet, and he's really big on thyroid and what kind of like keeps your thyroid regular for most people who are not like you, who have a disease of having way too high of a thyroid, which makes you kind of superhuman.
Hyperthyroidal, they called it.
99% or like 90% of the population has hypothyroid.
Right. Yeah.
And you are someone who's
hyperthyroidal.
Yeah.
Just eat.
Yeah.
Never sleep.
Drink.
They, I asked my stepdaughter, who's a complete badass, because she has a raw milk connection. I was like, hey, she goes, how much you want? I was like, 5 gallons. I know James wants some. And then, I drink probably at least a half gallon of milk almost a day. And she brought like 12 gallons of raw milk and just left it on the counter.
Wow.
We were out. We were
on the counter?
Yeah. And
Do you not have the refrigerator or something?
No, you do.
Okay.
We get the text. I tell my wife, like, we got to go home. Like, there's milk sitting on our counter right now. And I saw how much was there. It was in a giant food grade, like, tub.
Wow.
And thankfully I saved all my milk bottles. And so I had just enough. I was filling up like mason jars. And
wow.
So I had James came over yesterday.
Yeah, you'll definitely get some.
It's so good.
Nice.
Yeah, and now the fat's starting to separate, so we're going to make butter out of that. We made mozzarella cheese.
Really?
We're going to make ricotta tonight. Yeah.
Mozzarella is like the easiest cheese to make, right?
It's easy to make. It's easy to fuck up. Yeah. All it is just separating the curds from the whey using like some kind of acid. You can use vinegar or lemon juice or something like that. So it tastes really good. It's just the texture gets a little funky.
Muriatic
would work. LSD. Do a little MK Ultra cheese. So Japan. Oh, dude, by the way. So James sent me this, is that many financial analysts have been predicting that the Japan stock market would collapse. And the day that they predicted that was going to be today. And I fire up the old machine here in the morning, and the stock market in Japan is collapsing today. It plunged to an 8-month low and forced the Bank of Japan, the way they try to combat this is to raise the rates. Now, I don't understand this. I haven't given it its due diligence, so I need to look in it to a little more. You're a little more acute into the economic stuff than I am. But essentially what it seems like, what I'm gathering, is they had the choice to either try to prop up the yen artificially because it's a fiat currency, just like ours, and then let the stock market collapse. They chose to prop up the yen. They predicted the stock market would collapse. Stock market did collapse, but it's collapsing way more than they thought it was going to be.
Really? So you're saying that the financial experts in the government of Japan didn't really understand
just
how
missed the mark.
Wow,
just missed
that's
the mark.
so surprising.
Yeah. And the question on our minds is this the first domino to fall, which would create some kind of global financial collapse?
Yeah.
And the people that predicted this collapse are saying, yeah. They're saying within the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, which is important since I am selling my house.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you. Have you sold your house yet?
Yeah, luckily I haven't, but it's not going to happen for another 3 months, so I think I'm good.
Get that thing off the market, bud.
You mean on the market?
On the market.
Yeah.
And then off the market.
Quickly, yes. I think I'm going to just every decision that I have to make from here going forward about the house. Like I had the pest report done. I was there when the guy did it. And it was not bad, but there was like a kind of a rat problem under there, which I've always had. I've tried to kill him, but you know how it goes.
Yeah.
And some other, like, you know, when you get
You ever try getting a cat?
No.
Yeah. We got this cat.
A little late for that, I think.
Well, for the future.
Yeah.
Because we got
the thing with cats, though, you never know if they're going to be a mouser.
Yeah, that's true.
If you get like
some of them just suck resources in our assholes,
and they kill all the birds.
Yeah.
You know what would be good to get?
Kills the birds and the cats.
I want to get
and the rats.
I want to get a one of those terriers, the rat terriers, or like 6 of them.
Yeah,
like our buddy Jordan had. That would be the.
Yeah, he was normal.
No, he wasn't, but he was an awesome dude.
Yeah, he was.
And a fucking amazing soccer player.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that about him.
One of the best soccer players I've ever played with. Yeah.
Nice.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
And totally unexpected.
So,
what were we talking about?
Okay. The collapse of all the economies across the world.
And so they're saying that this
I
is
need to get a Deagle clock because every day. So I looked at the recent strike in Hezbollah, which took out one of their like generals or something like that,
right?
And Iran going like, "We will retaliate against this," and I go like, "Deagle, another 0.5%." This is like moving like. Getting closer and closer every day.
I'll bet you every 1 out of 10 of our listeners would buy a Deagle clock if we had one on the website.
The Liberty Tree Deagle clock.
Yes.
Oh, boy. That's what we need. It's another business.
Yes, we do. That's technically the same business.
Yeah. So Edward Dowd, I was like listening to him, and the reason why I do listen to him is that whole pattern recognition. I was like, he keeps getting things right over and over, which is why I don't listen to MSNBC. I have people in my family who I love dearly, but they watch MSNBC and CNN all day, and they just turn to you and go like, that's exactly what happened. You're like, yeah, no questions whatsoever. Like nothing.
Yeah.
Even the things that I agree with. I look at Edward Dowd stuff. I was like, he's been right so far, but I'm taking this with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? And he wrapped up, he's saying like nothing is like one thing, right? Is the economy just doesn't go into free fall out of the blue for some reason. It's all these things that like build up to it. And so he just took like the last 4 years. He goes, all these things got us to where we're at right now. Coupled with the fact that we live in the confines of a completely fabricated fiat currency system that's based on nothing. And we just continue to print trillions and trillions of dollars out of thin air, right?
Yeah.
So he began with, we had the COVID lockdowns. So we lost hundreds of thousands of small businesses. The equity in those businesses are gone. They're shut down. This added to what is known as the greatest transfer of wealth in U.S. history, right? So we shut down our small businesses, and all the big businesses stay open, your Walmarts, your Targets, and stuff like that. We had the BLM riots, which caused billions and billions and billions of dollars of damage. So we have that, of just the loss of the actual structures, but then we had insurance companies that going like, we can't afford this. So insurance companies started declaring bankruptcy or raising their rates so high that they're almost unaffordable, right? Because they are a business, just like the businesses that were destroyed. And as when we talked to Bill Ferguson, the insurance expert, what do you say about the insurance industry?
The house always wins.
The house always wins. They're a business like anything else. We had the COVID market crash. Remember that?
They're a business just like any other casino.
Yes. COVID market crash, printed trillions of dollars out of thin air, even more. We told people to stay home, not partake in society. And we gave them stimulus checks that came out of that trillions of dollars that we printed. So we're basically free money, using my finger quotes there. We had Operation Warp Speed, which injected the majority of the country with an experimental pharmaceutical product. We did even more stimulus checks. While all this was happening, we had the meme stock craze, which was online community groups getting together and wildly inflating the price of some arbitrary stock. This would be your GameStop, your AMC, Blockbuster, I think was one. This would explode the price through the roof, which created a wildly volatile market because people were shorting that stock. And so all this money is trying to cover these losses. We get government bailouts. We get total fuckery of like the crypto trading or the trading platforms were being shut down to try to stifle the damages like caused by this. We print even more money. We had an explosion in housing prices while wages stay totally stagnant. Want to talk about job creation? Because what do we hear from the Biden administration?
No, that they're just creating more jobs never been created. And
so, because we're going to get into media, is you get this talking point, just like we had, Biden's sharp as attack. He's got to step down. All mainstream media happens like that morning.
They flip a switch. Everyone just miraculously, not because they got, talking points sent to them and what to talk about.
Did you hear that?
Because the media is the fourth estate. They're the watchdog of government. They're on our side.
Right.
They don't actually get their talking points.
You say the fourth estate or the fourth branch of government?
Exactly. It's not like they, are told what to say. It's just a miraculous coincidence that they all change their position on how fit Joe Biden is on the same morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is when we talk about job creation, because I wanted to break that down a bit, because it drives me crazy. This gets glossed over. So he's saying the talking point was he created more jobs than any president in recent history or whatever. That was say the thing.
Right.
KJP created more jobs, flips a little binder, reads that to us. And we're like, okay, that's all I need to know. Go. Number one, that doesn't take into account the amount of jobs restarted that were lost during the COVID lockdowns.
Right.
So that's not a net positive. Their jobs simply regained. It also doesn't take into account a large portion of those jobs were jobs created by the federal government.
Right.
Like we're just going to add more federal employees, 80,000 new IRS agents, for example. I was like,
and it doesn't take into account, you're talking about people that lost their life ambition, their small business that was put out of business, and now they go get a job at the car wash or something.
Yeah.
Well, that's a job added.
Or Walmart.
That is a plus in our column. We don't care that he lost everything he wanted to be as a human, and then
they're only looking at jobs
Walmart
added, using my finger quotes there, not the ones lost.
And they also don't distinguish between, when they give you those numbers, they don't say whether they're full-time or part-time jobs.
Yeah.
And they would be helpful is like, did we add, like, what level of job are we talking about?
Right.
Did we lose a bunch of executives and add a bunch of
Chipotle employees?
Exactly.
Right.
Not in California. I told you that they're going to be raising the minimum wage for fast food workers in California.
I thought they already did.
Well, they gave them $20 an hour.
Right, yeah.
They're expected this session in California to raise it again.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are there any... There's not going to be any fast food restaurants left here pretty soon.
No.
Yeah. Some fast food... Who was it? Someone just left. They're like, we can't do it anymore.
McDonald's. Right? Didn't I talk about
California?
That?
Yeah.
That's what I understand, yeah.
Yeah. I think they tried to go fully automated, and then people are like, I'm not doing this. Or some people do.
Do you ever go through the self-checkout?
No, I try to avoid it.
But you do sometimes?
I have before, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'll do it if it's 6:30 a.m. and all I need is cream because we're out for coffee.
Yeah.
They have one lane open at the grocery store by my house, but that person who's working there is also doing a million other things.
Yeah.
And I love those guys that work at that Lucky's by my house. So I'm just like, you're fine. I'll just go through the self-checkout. But normally I don't. Like, I want to interact with a human being. It's part of the social fabric, right? You're like, I want to know what this guy is all about.
Unless you got resting serial killer.
I want to know if there's a serial killer working in my local grocery store.
The saddest thing, I avoid Home Depot, but every once in a while I have to go there, like for time, just to like grab something.
It happens to be the closest thing.
Yeah. And the saddest thing is you have the person showing you how to use the checkout. I'm like, isn't this a little redundant? And they're like, and then you just go like, oh, this is truly like a transitional thing. Like,
right
here, let me show you how to use the machine that's going to replace me.
So that I don't have a job anymore. Yeah.
We printed trillions of more dollars out of thin air, both presidents. The other thing about the jobs thing, and you and I were talking about this earlier, is it doesn't take into account, best estimates is between 15 and 20 million people came into the country illegally. This is not about immigration. This is purely economics. It's like, it doesn't account the amount of jobs that went to those people. So a metaphor that, I would use is we were having a party and we're out of beer, right? You're like, we're almost out of beer. We have 6 beers left and there's 10 people here. I'm like, I'll make a beer run. So I go get some more beer. I get 2 12 packs, but I bring like 6 people back to the party with me. Yeah. I'm like, hey, like we're almost out of beer again. I'm like, gotcha. And I go get 2 more 12 packs and I bring 10 more people back with me. And at the end of the day, I go like, I blew like $400 on beer for everyone. And we still ran out of beer. He's like, we ended up with like 90 people here at the end of the night. Yeah. That's kind of how that works.
The libertarian argument for that, the open borders libertarians, right, who don't really consider the other aspects of open borders other than just the economic part, what they would say, like maybe like the Reason magazine people would say that, well, those people that are coming over the border, they're not just demanding jobs, they're also demanding goods and services, which helps people that provide goods and services.
Yeah.
So
I like hearing that argument for sure.
Yeah. The problem is that we're living in an anarcho tyranny state where all of these people that are coming over the border are allowed to commit any crime they want, while you and I will go to jail for,
not paying a parking ticket.
Having the wrong number of bullets in a magazine or something. Yeah. You get 10 years in jail for that. Like,
that's, as I've always said, I was like, I'm good with law and order and by the book. I'm not a fan of cops, and I mean, I have nothing against them. They're all individuals and I judge them on their own merits. Law and order sounds good. Or we can do complete anarchy. Every man for himself. I'm good with that too. All I ask is that it's consistent.
Not this in-between shit.
Yeah, not this hybrid model.
Which is the definition. You just made the blue-collar definition of anarcho-tyranny.
Right.
Rules for criminals, or no rules for the criminals, just for the law-abiding citizen.
Right. So then we decided to kick off a proxy war with the world's largest nuclear superpower, via the country Ukraine, who was previously to that was one of the most corrupt countries in the entire world. We've sent them, I think, close to $200 billion that we know of. Somewhere between 60 and 80 billion of that is missing, unaccounted for, or as Don Rumsfeld would put it, mistakes were made. We had the bank failures of 2023. Silicon Valley Bank was one of those here in our area. there were federal bailouts for those banks that expired this last March. More lackluster job numbers. Did you know that there was an independent investigation into those jobs numbers reports?
No.
Not many people do, because we were all fascinated with spending even more money to try to indict the last guy who was the president on a bunch of real estate or misfiling campaign funds or something, like 34 felonies. Well, we watched that go on. An independent investigation said, like, your jobs numbers are completely fabricated. They call them completely fraudulent, based on just fraudulent payroll statistics that someone kind of made up. Out of thin air. So even if those jobs numbers were true, given, you know, those kind of 3 points that I laid out of like, well, here's what makes up those jobs numbers. Even if those were true, it wouldn't even matter. But now, like, well, those numbers aren't even true anyway. It's probably even worse than that. This is what Edward Dowd is laying out. It's like, this is why our economy is collapsing. This is why I'm predicting a complete free fall here coming up.
No one actually knows what's going on, because it's all just being swept under the rug.
More reckless deficit spending. Hamas invades our 51st state, so we send them billions of dollars on top of the billions of dollars that we've already sent them. Then
don't forget the billions that we spent on the dock that was accidentally not designed to withstand waves.
Dock that was operable for 24 hours before it totally failed, and they abandoned it.
They made the mistake of not designing it to withstand waves.
Mm-hmm. Where was it? Like on a lake or something?
I think that's what they were designing it for, but it happened to be
they put it in the ocean,
in a sea. Yeah,
that's unfortunate. Contractors always do is follow the plans. If the plans are wrong, I don't know what to tell you. That's not on me.
Yeah, if anyone's blaming the contractor on that, they can fuck right off.
Then turns out, lo and behold, a complete shock to everybody via a televised presidential debate, that the guy currently occupying the White House is clearly in God's waiting room. Mm-hmm. Is probably not running anything. And remember we were talking about conspiracy theories, like the slope roof. I'm like, if what the official narrative is so implausible, like, that's how conspiracy theories get started. I'm like, okay, yeah, I definitely know that's not true. So now I gotta do my own research.
Apparently they changed the official reason from the sloped roof to the heat. It was too hot.
Yeah, they kind of pivoted on that.
Yeah, which it's like, okay,
it's hotter than all the other roofs
that they had guys on around. Yeah, I mean, think about that. Like, so all you have to do if you want to assassinate the president, you just have to be able to suffer a little bit more than the people guarding him.
Yeah,
right. That's why they say, like, if you're determined, like, if you'll kill yourself in the act of trying to kill someone else, there's really no way anyone can stop you. Mm-hmm. There's just too many ways that you just can't think of.
Yeah.
But all that guy had to do was just, like, sweat a little.
Be mildly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Before he got shot in the head. We talk about, you see a headline and there's like the kind of the main point you're supposed to take away from the headline. And then you and I have become kind of idiot savants at like, wait a minute, what about this other little thing that everyone seems to be glossing over? Mm-hmm. And when they said, like, we don't know who the shooter was, like, we don't know who the shooter is just yet. And then 2 hours later, like, the FBI identified the shooter using biometric data. It's this guy. And I'm like, wait. Using what? Biometric data? Like, you were able to, would you do scan his face and you could figure out who he was? That's what stood out most to me in that headline. I'm like, wait a second here.
Well, yeah, so that means you could scan anyone's face at this point? I don't remember voting on that.
Or any of this other shit that I'm laying out.
What's kind of been bugging me about the assassination attempt, they're trying to memory hole it, right? Sweep it under the rug.
They already have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty much gone, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of...
It lasted for like a week.
There's a lot of conservative outlets that are trying to, like, really keep harping on it. Mm-hmm. The thing that kind of bugs me, though, it's like... It is... Look, the assassination was attempted by... in great part, maybe not 100%, but in large part, by the government. Mm-hmm. The government tried to kill Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that, right? Do you have any doubt in your mind?
No.
I mean, that's obviously what was happening.
Well, I'm like a 90-something%.
So 10% of you thinks that all of the coincidences and accidents and mishaps that happened that led up to that
I say
could
that
be plausible?
Well, I say that in the spirit of, is like, there's very little I can say 100%, absolutely, without a doubt.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're both 100% on that. But they keep trying to kind of
Like Leslie Stahl in that Jordan Peterson interview said, so what you're saying is this? He goes, that is not what I said.
That wasn't Leslie Stahl.
Oh, who was it?
Some British chick.
Oh, okay.
They keep going to this thing of like.
So it was Leslie Stahl.
Okay. They keep going to this thing of trying to, like, we need answers. And yes, we do. I'm not saying we don't, but it's like we don't really. I mean, we know that he was set up by our government.
Yeah.
Right? They tried to kill him.
And dude, we need answers. Who are those answers going to come from? It's like the 9/11 commission report. I'm like,
right.
Great. Yeah. I'll look through that when I get
Or
a
the
chance.
Warren report.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if we get that, do you think we're going to know? Like, no, we all know right now that the government tried to kill Trump. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
They need to what we need to be pivoting to, I think, is just talking in those terms.
Mm-hmm.
The government tried to kill Trump.
Yeah.
And so therefore we need to do X, Y, and Z instead of trying to we got to keep it in the news so we can get answers. Like, we have the answers.
Yeah.
We've all figured it out at this
hung
point.
up in this like righteousness contest of like, I want you guys to admit, what I'm saying is correct. And it's like, well, who cares? And what if they did? I'm like, yeah.
Right. They're still going to just say, fuck off. We'll do what we want. Yeah.
What the fuck you going to do about it?
The fact that they had that, that picture of the bullet whizzing by his head?
Mm-hmm.
When I first saw that, I was like, come on.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because to capture that, like, your iPhone isn't going to capture that picture. A normal camera can't catch a bullet flying through the air. You need, like, very, advanced, a very fast.
Set at a specific shutter speed, which someone there happened to have their camera set on.
Like, when you see the picture of a bullet going through a playing card, like you've seen that, right?
Yeah.
And you can see the card kind of shattering or whatever. Like, that takes a special camera to pull that off, right? So they're covering one of Trump's rallies, which they never do. And they had people there with high-speed cameras taking pictures, trying to get the most gruesome, like, awful picture of his head being blown off.
That was one of the first things I thought is that...
Because why didn't he shoot center mass?
Yeah.
He'd have got him center mass.
Yeah.
But he shot at his head and he happened to, like, twitch the head and hit him in the ear.
Yeah. I also... one of the first things I thought is CNN was reporting with all this footage. And I actually thought, I was like, I don't remember CNN ever covering Trump rallies. Like,
Very unusual.
Like, traditionally, like, not like we're not even going to cover this, like, this nonsense.
I heard Tim Pool describe it as like when Pee-wee's Big Adventure, when he makes his breakfast in the morning, he has this Rube Goldberg machine that's like, the ball rolls down and hits the bird, his beak goes and like lights the
That was
candle.
such a
and then
perfect way to put that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that.
So good.
So back to the last 4 years, speaking of the assassination attempt, they tried to smear this guy by dragging him through court with every indictment they could find under the sun. That doesn't work. It just makes him more popular. So they shoot him in the head. That makes him even more popular. So now we got a problem. I think I hit you with a statistic another time, but did you know this is the first election since 1976? This is for the people that scoff at the idea that we have political elites, like a selected political elite class. Mm-hmm. This is the first election since 76 that doesn't have either a Bush, a Clinton, or a Biden on the ticket.
Yeah,
I was
that's
surprised
crazy.
to learn that.
Yeah, because Ronald Reagan ran in 1980 and George H.W. Bush was his VP.
The little Iran and Contra affair.
Mm-hmm. It's the third presidential election in a row that Trump's been running in.
That's true, huh?
Kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah. So speaking of the media, now we have best version of Biden we've ever seen. Biden sharp as attack, sharp as attack, sharp as attack. 12 hours later, Biden needs to step down. He needs to step down. Do the right thing. He's a step down. 24 hours later, Kamala's up to the task. She's the person for the job.
She's totally qualified.
She had
She's really good at
some
this.
of the worst ratings, favorability ratings of any VP in history. So much so, including in her own state here, our state, California, that she couldn't get past the first primary stop in Iowa. She quit before Iowa. There's no point. And he was selected Biden goes, I will pick a woman of color for my vice president. Although now that's considered racist to say like, oh, this is like a DEI hire. I'm just going off what you said.
That's what you said.
The epitome of a DEI
And
hire.
you get Joy Behar saying, men that don't like her laugh, it's because they're afraid that she's going to laugh at them in bed. Remember that?
I've never found myself in bed with Kamala Harris. Like, man, my weekend went seriously sideways.
God.
I guess the reason why I'm bringing this up within the context of the economy and the reasons why that Edward Dowd brings this up and everything he has predicted so far. I've yet to find something that he was wrong on. He might have his timeline adjusted here and there, but he seems to nail stuff, whether it's with COVID, excess deaths, and the economy, which is actually his expertise, not COVID. He just took that same skill set and happened to kind of make a hobby out of like predicting these excess deaths with his other financial analysts that he had access to. And now we have all the media turning on a dime and they're all in on Kamala. Just today, I'm already seeing all the headlines that Kamala's ahead in the polls. Like she's going to be the one, like she's going to win. That's my prediction. Like they're just going to insert her into the White House.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying to me because as we are kicking the tires of World War III, with Ukraine and Putin and Israel and Iran and Hamas, to have someone like that with absolutely no background, no foreign policy kind of experience, making decisions. And also you get into the discussion. I've always felt it's like, I really don't think that the president really does much anyway. I don't think they make these decisions.
Yeah.
I think there is, I don't know. I'm confused for the people that don't believe in the idea of the deep state. Like, it doesn't exist. I'm like, what's your argument for that? That makes no sense to me.
I would say that her having no experience in foreign policy or all the other things you said, like experience to be that person that's making decisions that are could potentially lead us to World War III, is not. That's not the thing that sucks about her being in that position to make those calls. Mm-hmm. Because someone like Trump had no experience in those things.
Yeah.
But he was able to keep us from getting into any new wars.
Yeah.
If you and I were in the position of the presidency, we don't have any foreign experience, foreign diplomacy experience. But she is such a fucking moron.
Yeah, she's not smart.
That she would, it's not even just the lack of intelligence, it's the ego. Like you hear about all of her interns. Did you hear about the guy? The guy that wrote the letter about his son had a 1-month internship with Kamala Harris when she was in California?
No.
He wrote this letter, just like open letter, just describing what happened to his son. And it was this shit like on day one, Kamala told the son that he was not allowed to make eye contact with her.
Yeah.
Eye contact is only for senior members of the staff.
Is that insane?
Like, she's such a maniac.
Tell me we don't have a political elite caste system.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of person that's going to be...
Hillary Clinton did the same thing.
She doesn't care. Those people don't care if we get into World War III. They kind of feel like they'll have a bunker or something.
Yeah.
Not thinking it through. Just like the communists that we talked about a week or two ago, that they don't actually have a plan for how we're going to get enough food for everyone. Kamala Harris doesn't understand that nuclear winter will basically wipe out humanity.
Yeah.
Save for a few thousand lucky people that make it through. She just wants to be like the boss.
She's people have come out. She's notorious for mistreating people.
Yes.
And considering herself a political elite.
90% of her staffers have quit.
Yeah, 90% turnover. That is not a good business strategy.
No. And if it was a business, it would fail.
Not even Drywaller can claim that.
Or an insulation contractor.
It's close.
Okay, since you brought it up, here's the election odds. This is from July 29th. It had, this is the betting odds, not anything else.
See, dude, I like that you're bringing this up because I was looking at, because your disservice for this podcast is that you watch The View. I listen to NPR and read Huffington Post, and so we can bring like, okay, here's what they're saying.
That's our sacrifice.
Their main headline was like, Kamala is surging in the polls and just pulled ahead of President Trump. I was like, but what are people betting on? Like,
Okay, so
I know what you
let's
want to say to a pollster, but like, put $500 on the line.
Yeah. So 6 days ago it was 54% Trump, 50% Kamala. Hit the refresh button. She dropped. Oh, she's ahead. They've given her a 54% chance. Donald Trump at 49.
Wow.
So I can explain this.
Okay.
The people that are betting.
Someone shot Trump this morning.
We just no, that'll happen 1 hour after we turn off the mics. People that make these bets are influenced by what's going on in the media also. And right now, everything is like Kamala.
Yeah.
And so it's this honeymoon phase that she's in. Do you know that she has not answered one single question from a reporter since she got the nomination? Or since she became the candidate?
I did not.
Not that getting the nomination, I don't know what that means. Like a few rich elites, without the help of these pesky voters, decided she was the candidate. She hasn't answered a single question.
Wow.
She hasn't done one interview. She hasn't answered one fucking question.
Interesting.
They've asked her questions, and because she'll like come to an event and say her little speech, and they're like, Miss Harris, can you say what the blah, blah? And she just walks off.
Yeah.
So this will end as soon as they have a debate.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
And then I believe they still could replace her.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a psychopathic machine. They have no allegiance to her.
No.
They don't love her. How about that phone call from the Obamas?
Oh my God.
We listened to it today in the truck. It was the most cringe thing ever. So staged, so fake. People.
She's standing there with a camera pointing at her face and mics in front of her. And
what do you know?
I got a phone call.
Let's see who it is.
It's the Obamas. Wow. How about that?
Oh, it's my nanny, huh? Yeah, no, just make us lunch for tomorrow. Let's go. Okay. Thank you all for filming that and watching it. And
this version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America, billionaires in America.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
He's smart. He's on his game.
His mental acuity is great.
This is a very sharp president.
And the people that I've talked to say he's as sharp as a tack. He's fine.
They say he's sharp. There's not a problem. He was sharp. He was sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
The president is sharp, and he is tireless. He is sharp.
As sharp as ever.
And he's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity is declined is wrong.
His brain is good. He's still great.
He is sharp in meetings. I believe the people who say that behind closed doors Joe Biden remains sharp.
In meetings, Joe Biden is sharp.
He's sharp. He's fit.
There is nothing to these challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp. He's sharp as a tack.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicaid. He beat it to death. Actually, Joe Biden is sharper and has more mental acuity than Donald Trump, because more people believe that actually Joe Biden's mental acuity is better than Donald Trump's.
I mean, he's sharp. He's funny. He's sharp as a tack. He's at the top of his game.
Oh, wow. Oldie but goodie. That's rough to watch, actually.
it is.
I feel like, I don't know if I've said this before. I feel like sad. I feel like bad. Like, what are you guys doing, man? You can't just parade this guy out. Like, and then I remember the '94 omnibus crime bill and how he sat, and made legislation with actual members of the Ku Klux Klan and voted us into every war. And I'm like, dude, fuck that guy.
It's like you walk up on someone like being severely beaten in the street, and you're like, oh my God, like, this is horrific. What are you doing? Like, oh no, he raped like 3 children. You're like, oh yeah, let me get in on some of that.
Oh, that was a funny, lighthearted joke.
Always.
So your wife made a quasi prediction, or at least asked a question.
Yeah. So, like I was telling you before, you and I suck in so much media kind of reluctantly.
Right.
But we do it simply for, I think we do it for the podcast. I can't imagine if the podcast didn't exist.
I think the podcast, the way I've always kind of viewed it, we do some inside baseball here, is an extension of what we were already doing. We were just being like super interested and just what was going on, and always if things not making sense of like, look, we take in way more media than your typical like average American. But we do it
definitely.
If this makes sense, we do it from the outside. We're not immersed in it. Like I was saying, I have family members that watch MSNBC and CNN all day, and they're like, "That's exactly what happened." I'm always on the outside, like,
"That's the thing."
Okay, that's what they're saying. Like, what else is going on?
That's the thing. They all have their go-to media source, right? They're not sitting like we are in a room with 6 monitors of the news just constantly blasting at us, and we're trying to like pick out little pieces. They listen to whatever they like. Maybe it's Rachel Maddow, maybe it's CNN, whatever, and they hear the talking points on that station and they go, "Huh, that's a good point. Yeah, JD Vance is weird."
Yeah.
But when you hear 7 different shows all saying that weird, or sharp as attack, sharp as attack, sharp as attack.
I got something for you.
Good. Then they don't get the, I think I know what you're going to play, and I'm glad you are, because they don't get that. They just hear the one show that they like.
Yeah.
They like Morning Joe for whatever, fucked up reasons. And they just hear that. They don't understand that it's a narrative that's being programmed into every news station. Go
ahead, sorry.
Well, anyways, my wife doesn't watch anything. She hears a little bit here on Facebook and a little bit there from me, maybe. And so
she hears a little bit from me. I don't want to quibble.
I do most of my ranting by myself, alone in my truck.
Good man. Be a real man.
Exactly. So every once in a while, she just kind of picks some gem out of the ether that she just like intuits.
Yeah.
And so she hit me with this today on our drive home. Because I was saying, isn't it ridiculous? How come no Democratic voters are coming out and saying, and you would expect a journalist of all people to be the one going, why do we just get Kamala Harris? How come we don't get to vote on who the person is? Maybe they justify, well, there's not enough time for that. I don't know. I think a lot of people are...
I thought democracy is the most important thing in the world.
Totally. And so the Democratic convention is coming up in August, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that at the Democratic convention, there could be people that go there who maybe have a sign that says, "Why don't we get to vote?" Or try to disturb what's going on and saying, we get a choice in this. Most of the people are going to be on board, but there's going to be some people trying to raise a stink.
I would be shocked if that didn't happen.
I would too.
Between that, the people that just, I guess pro-choice would be the wrong word, but people like, hey, we want to say in this process. And then you couple that with the pro-Hamas people. I think there's definitely going to be some protests.
Because there's some... disturbance in the force, if you will, in the Democratic Party.
Oh, absolutely.
Democrat Party.
Yeah.
And so what Gertrude came up with was brilliant, I thought.
Yeah.
She goes, do you think they might try to do something there? Like assassinate the Kamala or something like that? And I don't think that's what it is. What she said, well, no, not that. Like maybe... like they'll place a bomb in the place, air quotes, bomb, right? In a backpack. It's left next to the stage.
Would it be the same pipe bomb that they found on January 6th?
I'm guessing very similar.
No one found out.
Yeah, or the guy that, what was the guy's name that did the...
Timothy McVeigh?
Assassination attempt on Trump.
Oh, Thomas Matthew Crooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allegedly he had a bomb too.
Oh, right, yeah.
A very sophisticated bomb. So they're going to find... She's like, well, maybe they'll like find some explosive there, and then they'll be forced to shut down the whole convention
for safety.
Yeah, it only makes sense. And added bonus, they'll link it to some right-wing extremist group or whatever.
Very nice.
And use that to go after the biggest threat to our nation right now, which is clearly white right-wing extremists.
Yes.
That wasn't I didn't misspeak. White right-wing extremists.
Not bad. Not bad, Gertrude.
Huh?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
My wife's the same way. She takes in no meat. She goes, and I try to spare my rants, but she'll ask me about stuff. But the questions she asks, I'm like, yeah. See, like you with no information, you're like, this makes no sense.
Totally.
I don't understand.
It's easy for us to miss that kind of stuff sometimes because we take in just so much. We're so focused on what's actually being said that,
So, bringing up what you're doing, we were talking about the media.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about some irresponsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
And there's no way that
whoever put that together is a hero.
Totally. And the people that live in the Falls Creek community, they don't hear that.
No.
They just hear that one trusted news guy that makes jokes sometimes about the deer that ran across the freeway saying that, and they go, yeah, that makes sense. But when you hear that's actually what he was telling you, he was told, he was given a script, literally a script. I mean, there's just no other way to describe how all of their verbiage lines up exactly the same.
Did you hear that Dave Smith from Part of the Problem was on, I can't remember what show he was on, but he was talking about he would occasionally get invited to like Fox News and CNN to basically become part of a panel discussion. He was on there with I think like a Democratic strategist or whatever. And he goes, it was frustrating at first because it was just like talking point. And Dave Smith, I mean, of course I'm biased, is like, well, no, here's the facts. Here's what happened in Ukraine, on this day and this day and this day and this day. And like, you can't ignore those things, these things that are not isolated in a bubble. And he goes, but we were civil with each other. We disagreed on quite a bit. And they went out to dinner afterwards and he talked to this Democratic strategist. She was affiliated with the media somehow. I can't remember which one. And she actually
showed him the email.
Dave Smith. It came out in the Julian Assange WikiLeaks. It said, no, in the morning, we get our talking points.
Right.
This is what we're hitting on because when you do those shows, you do like 6, 7, all in a row. You spend all day just doing like panel discussions. And she admitted to him, she goes, no, we get our talking points in the morning and my job's to go on the show and just like, he's sharp as a tack. He's sharp as a tack. And Dave Smith going, I don't think you're supposed to be admitting this to me.
Right.
Yes. So I was thinking of the Olympic opening ceremony because we talked about this on the last one, and their kind of weird trans mockery of the Last Supper. And I've spent some time thinking this week that when we keep seeing this consistent like absurdity that always kind of keeps happening like over and over and over. And what I notice is how homogenous it is with its themes and context. It always seems to be this one thing, and then we move on to the next thing, and everyone seems to be like on board with this thing. Because what we asked, I want to clear something up, is that watching that Olympic ceremony is you're like, oh, you're just like some weird Republican outrage, blah, blah. I was like, no, that's not it. It's like, you guys can do whatever you want. I was like, I don't watch the Olympics. I was intrigued by it because I was going, who's this for? This is a huge production.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of resources and people were on board to make this happen. I'm just asking, like, why this though? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I think no matter where you are on whatever cultural issue, we can go like, this doesn't really represent the world in any capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my mind goes like, why? Like, why am I seeing this on TV? Is that making sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to just be a pageant, you know, an art show, basically to usher in the Olympics, like a thing to say like, here's all these countries coming together peacefully to compete in sport.
Yeah. And here's a mockery of the Last Supper. You're like,
yeah,
interesting tone to kick things off with. And it made me think is that I don't think so much that this is meant to, I think it does convey a certain message to some extent, but I think what it's more done to do, it's done intentionally to occupy the bandwidth of the people that might be asking questions about other things. And it works, right? Because I saw every kind of traditional neocon Republican, this is an outrage, you know, blah, 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 blah. And this is like why I'm never interested in like gender and like race issues. I'm like, it seems like it's so intentionally manufactured and I just don't want to take the bait. That's right. What I feel like this is being done for.
Totally.
And then I watch, you know, your social media influencer, right-wing people or whatever, and they take the bait every single time. I was like, you're taking the bait. Like, you understand that. Like, this was done to get your attention, and it's got your attention, and you spent all week talking about this thing, while all these other things are going on that are way, way, way more important. You know, like, I don't know how many wars we're involved in right now. And that's, like, profoundly disturbing to me.
I don't know that they're necessarily more important. They might be more important in the moment, like today.
Well, it's important, but on a more like superficial level.
Or I would say it's important on a more like long-term level.
Mm-hmm.
Because the attempt with making fun of the Last Supper and replacing it with gayness is to try to eliminate Christianity.
Oh, I definitely think that's good.
And that's very, very important.
Yeah.
I think because Christianity, there's a reason they hate Christianity. It is a good weapon against communism or whatever, you know, I think that's their goal. And so they're using every opportunity they get to do that. And so maybe it doesn't deserve as much immediate attention as trying to stop us from going into World War III, but it deserves attention.
Oh yeah,
it can't be gone. It can't go unnoticed.
No, I'm not saying it's irrelevant on any level for sure. But my point is I think it's intentionally manufactured to occupy our bandwidth.
And they know that the outrage is going to be Twitter outrage. Mm-hmm. No one's actually going to do anything about it.
Yeah,
which they should be doing something about it.
Mm-hmm.
This deserves something being done. But they know that we're not going to. Nothing's going to happen. Like, because they do it anyways. They know they're going to get the outrage, and we're going to point out the hypocrisy, and we're going to complain about it. They don't care because feelings don't care about your facts, right?
Right. And would you agree, though, that the same people that would ask, you know, would be asking the questions like, why are we sending all this money to Ukraine again? Or like, why am I seeing videos of Hamas using what looks to be like American-made M4 rifles? Instead of asking that question, now they're like, they mocked the Last Supper. Like, I'm going to spend a week on this right now. I do agree. They're both important. But the idea that I'm positing here is that they're intentionally doing this thing that will completely hold your attention so we can forget about these other things.
Yeah. I think you're right about that.
And what's even crazier is it creates this like perverted like hedonic treadmill of like shifting the Overton window, because we build this kind of cultural callousness where we stop paying it. Like, the last thing is not going to work because that's kind of become like normal now. So when they go, you know what would really rile people up? Why don't we have like a male compete in the swimming competition? And they're like, kind of already did that. I mean, people have accepted like that's just what happens, and someone goes like, I got it. What if they beat the living shit out of some small woman at a boxing ring and she falls to her knees after 46 seconds, like screaming, sobbing, saying like, this is unjust? And they go like, There we go.
Did you hear that person apologized for that?
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Wait, who apologized?
Oh, the Italian.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Do you know how difficult it was? It was like, is that a man? It is so hard to find. And it's like, I typed into like DuckDuckGo. I'm like, was that guy born with a penis? You cannot find out.
He was.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently the doctor, he was born as what do we call that, a hermaphrodite? He was like intersex.
Okay.
One of the rare times that does happen.
Yeah.
Like 1 in a trillion or whatever. And the doctor on the birth certificate, allegedly, what I've heard, wrote down female.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly is an XY male.
But they failed all the gender tests for all the other boxing leagues they were in, is what I understand.
Is that right?
Yeah. So he, she, whatever, I'm not...
Well, they probably did some sort of DNA test or chromosomal test, which proves that he's a man. Anyways, yeah, the boxer who got beat up apologized, said he is a woman that beat him, and she shouldn't have quit the fight.
God, dude. So
even the person that dude, this is it. Like when you go through those struggle sessions that the Chinese make you go through in the Chinese Communist Revolution.
Yeah.
Like they admit, yes, I'm a enemy of the state or whatever, and then they get killed.
Yeah.
Same thing. This person, I admit I'm an enemy of the state. Like I apologize. I didn't mean to call this giant man a man who beat the living crap out of me. I should have acknowledged that it was a woman and not quit the fight. Like she just couldn't. What else could she do? She's being forced by this struggle session that she's being put through the media.
Yeah.
To acknowledge that yes, I'm an enemy of the state.
I think and tell me. Okay,
I know.
did not know that.
Well, Gertrude told me the same thing, and I fell for it this morning. that person apologized. I was like, well, that's kind of cool, I guess. Like,
yeah.
Oh, well, you said the Italian?
Yeah.
That's the woman in the fight.
That is wild.
Fuck.
Do you remember that graph that showed an aggregate of all mainstream media? This would be roughly a little over a decade ago, that shows this hockey stick spike when all of a sudden all mainstream media is entirely talking about gender and race. Have you seen that graph?
Yep.
Okay.
And it spikes up.
We can call it gender, race, intersectionality is what it comes down to.
Sure.
And do you remember like roughly when this came out?
No.
So Dave Smith puts this pretty brilliantly, and a couple of other people do. Clint Russell has talked about this quite a bit. That happened all like right on the heels after the Occupy Wall Street movement. Because what was the chant in the Occupy Wall Street movement? We are the 99%, right? Because for the first time we had the far right and the far left on the same side of the sidewalk screaming at the banks who just wiped out our economy, wiped out our housing market, stole everyone's houses, pensions, retirements, life savings, and people were pissed, and they were right to be.
Yeah, the pitchforks were at the game.
And everyone's like, I don't care where you are politically, like we all just got screwed, right? And so that are on one side of the street, like screaming, like they wanted these guys' heads.
Yeah.
Right? And what did we get out of it?
Some more legislation. I don't.
What we got is, well, first thing we got was Lehman Brothers and JP Morgan Chase and all the other central banks hired a private security force to go in and started cracking heads and cleared out the protests, right? And everyone went home. And then right after that, Obama, after the banks refused to meet with him, doled out rough estimates like $498 billion. Much of that went to the banks to bail them out because they were, what was the talking point? Too big to fail. And they gave themselves bonuses, which is all the makings of another protest. Like, you guys thought that last one was bad? Like, we're actually going to, like, storm these fucking buildings and drag you guys out of here.
Right.
But we didn't, because they went home like obedient citizens, watched mainstream media, all mainstream media, just like we were saying before.
You are not the 99%.
You're the 13%. You're the 9%. You're the 0.01%.
Right.
And all that matters if you've been watching mainstream media like you're supposed to, is what color your skin is and what you choose to do in the privacy of your own bed.
No, they implemented the Communist Manifesto, where everyone that's oppressed is being oppressed by the group that is the oppressor. Who's the oppressor? Well, it's the largest group.
Yeah.
The wealthiest group. That would be, white males.
Right.
So you all are being victimized by white males, not by these banks. The banks are here for your
They're ran by white males.
Yeah. Right.
And what did we get in return? Like, well, what did the 1% get? Well, they got billions and billions and billions of dollars of bailouts and bonuses, and they continued business as usual. What did you guys get? Like, well, if you drank the propaganda like you're supposed to, your mainstream media, you'll see that JP Morgan Chase sponsored the Pride Parade the next year. So call it even. Everyone's like, yeah, that sounds good. I mean, as long as JP Morgan Chase is really interested in trans issues, like that's good enough for me, because I've been indoctrinated for the last 2 years that this is what I'm supposed to care about.
Right.
And it fucking worked.
Yeah. And you're not watching CNN, MSNBC, CBS News,
right?
Everything all at once to hear them saying the exact same thing over and over and over again, as if it was
the clip we just played,
as if it was emailed to them in the morning.
Yep. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is that what are the chances that these social issues, for example, and media all latching onto them are all this culmination of organically created grassroots movements that all seem to magically come together in the same direction all the time? Is it that, or is this more of a top-down kind of propaganda movement? Right?
Obviously.
Of all mainstream media going like, oh, this is the new thing. Like, it's,
well, when they all say the exact same thing on the exact same day, like, what do you think?
Yes.
It's obviously not organic.
Yeah. And then when you look at the top of the power hierarchy, so your Vanguards and your State Streets and your Black Rocks and stuff like that, and they come out and they're talking about like DEI, now known as inclusive capitalism, right? It's the exact same thing, by the way, a different name. And all mainstream media is perfectly on board with the message. You're like, okay, is this coming from the bottom up or from the top up? Because my money's on it's coming from the top down.
Right.
Not top up.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Understood.
And so that's why we get these talking points that catch on, right? Because we repeat it. All media says the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
And then everyone goes out and, then you go, the banks are too big to fail. They're too big to fail. Now you say it. Say it in your home.
Mm-hmm.
Go to work. Say that thing. They're too big to fail. They're too big to fail. All the way up to now, Joe Biden is...
Something you've never said before in your life.
Yeah.
And you're just going to drop it
now all of a sudden you have this nuanced understanding of economics at your job. Right. Joe Biden is sharp as a tack. He's sharp as a tack. He's sharp as a tack. Say the thing. Say the thing. Say the thing. Joe Biden needs to step down. He needs to step down. Step down. Think exact same thing. And then Kamala Harris is up to the task. Like, she can do it. She can do the job. She's up to the task. J.D. Vance is weird. Republicans are weird. Trump is weird. Everything's weird. Like, do you guys understand that?
You'd think they would be given like a little like leeway to not use the exact same word.
Right.
But it must be very important to use the exact same word. They must have realized that, no, we have to just use the word weird.
Yeah.
You can't put strange or odd.
You got
in
the
there.
email. Say the thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's just plain weird.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are.
As weird and creepy as J.D. Vance.
Super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's quite weird. They're just plain weird.
Just plain weird. Just plain weird.
That stuff is weird. They come across weird, and then they start being weird. Yeah, they're weird.
Being a really weird.
He's such a weirdo.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate are weird. Deeply and profoundly weird. They are weird.
These Republicans just being weird, it's just weird. It's really weird.
Republican weirdness goes even deeper.
He said a lot of things that are weird, a weird style that he brings, weird policies. Let's start with the weird thing, because it is a thing.
Just plain weird.
What was weird was talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew?
You ever seen the guy laugh? That seems very weird to me that an adult can go through 6.5 years of being in the public eye. If he has laughed, it's at someone, not with someone. That is weird behavior.
Weird and cultish.
These are weird people on the other side.
He kind of doubled down on his weird ideas.
I think weird is probably generous.
Simply.
The only thing I agree with there is that Diet Mountain Dew is weird. If you're drinking Diet Mountain Dew, that's...
Just fucking go for it.
And you look at all media, like all on the same day, over and over. This happens not just today, but has been happening for everything that we have gone back and talked about on this podcast. That's happened in our lifetime, right? So take 9/11, right? The Iraq invasion. Well, why did Osama bin Laden attack the Twin Towers, allegedly?
Mm-hmm.
2 planes, 3 buildings, but another episode.
That's weird.
that is weird.
Because he hated our freedom.
He hated our freedom. He hated our freedom. He hates our freedom. He hates your freedom. You want some freedom fries? We'll walk through the freedom doors here. Get some freedom toast. Yeah, he hates our freedom. He hates our freedom. You go like, because he's saying it's our support for Israel and our bombing campaign in Libya and our military bases in their homeland. You're like, no. Don't listen to him. Mm-hmm. Listen to us.
Yeah.
He hates our freedom. You're like, if you have any semblance of critical thought and use the skeptic brain at all, you go like, this math is not adding. I at least have a lot of questions. And then you go like, you're going to disrespect almost 3,000 people that died on that day? Like, no, I want this to not happen again. And I think we should listen to the guy who's claiming responsibility.
What you say when someone says you're going to disrespect 3,000 people that died that day, you say, no, you are. Boom. Argument over.
Good yo mama joke in there. That'd be good. And it happens over and over. It's like Iraq, WMDs. He's got WMDs. It's like, and then we go back to the track record. Did you guys find those WMDs? You have Donald Rumsfeld coming up. It's like, well, they're in Tikrit, slightly north, south, east, and west of there. And they don't have them. And even John McCain in his memoir said, like, there were no WMDs. He was the most neocon chicken hawk there is. He goes, no, there were no WMDs. We never found them. They didn't have them. We illegally invaded that country.
Yeah.
Because we were pissed about Osama bin Laden hating our freedom. It's like, make it make sense to me. You know what I mean? Assad, there's a red line in Syria. Don't gas your own people. Don't gas your own. He's going to gas his own. If you gas your own people, like he gassed his own people. He never gassed his own people. There's no evidence of that.
No.
It happens over and over and over again. These media talking points. They drill these talking points via mainstream media into people's heads. They say it at home. They take it in 5 or 6 times. You know, you're watching TV after dinner. Go and say it at work. Go out and say it in the wild. And that just becomes what the truth is. And you go back like, there were no WMDs. And people will look at you with a blank look on their face like, what are you talking about? That's why we went in there. I was like, I know that's why they said they're going in there, but there were no WMDs. Assad never gassed his own people. Yeah, he did. No, he did not. Show me the proof. Show me the proof that he did. And it's the same thing. Biden sharp as attack. Oh, he's got to go. He's got to go. And it happens like within the same hour, all mainstream media reports the exact same thing. And you have like no questions. Perfect example of this, like, have you looked in like history of Ukraine, for example? Do you remember the talking point? Unprovoked.
Oh, unprovoked attack.
Unprovoked attack.
Yeah.
Dude, Soviet Empire, I think roughly fell, 71, right? And so let's just divide the world up, right? We have authoritarian...
Wait. The Soviet Union
Soviet Union.
Yeah, 91.
Was that 91?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did I say?
71.
Okay, sorry. Collapse of the Soviet Union, right? Mm-hmm. And you can roughly divide the world up into authoritarian shithole communism and authoritarian shithole crony capitalism.
Right.
Both systems suck, by the way. One's just slightly better.
Yeah.
America was the best version of that mostly because of our First and Second Amendments.
Right.
Right. And the deal was, the agreement is that the West, let's call it, via NATO and EU, would never advance 1 inch towards the East. Right. Every presidential administration since then has moved that border. So much so that we're all the way up to Ukraine. We're at Russia's border. And the whole time Putin's saying, like, don't do it. Like, don't do it. If you move that border up to Russia, like, that will be an act of war. Mm-hmm. And I will act on it.
Clearest of red lines.
Yeah. So then you have, like, 2014. They, what was his name? Yanukovych? Yanukovych, I can never pronounce his name. 2014, a sympathetic president in Ukraine towards Russia, representing heavily like the Donbass region, right, which is very heavily ethnic Russian. In the U.S., under the Obama administration, under Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, and particularly Victoria Nuland, Yanukovych goes in and says, like, no, we're not having this. We're not having a pro-Russian like president in there. We facilitate the Maidan color revolution, overthrow their democratically elected president, put in Yahtzee. Yahtzee's our guy. It's the famous Victoria Nuland phone call.
Yeah, fuck the EU.
Who also was married to Robert Kagan, who authored a large part of strengthening America's defenses abroad under the Project for a New American Century, which had us try to invade 7 countries in 5 years in the Middle East.
And, fuck the EU.
Yes, exactly. We overthrow their government. Donbass is pissed, and Putin goes like, no, we're not having this. Side note, this previously unknown energy company called Burisma in one of the most corrupt countries in the entire world has already greased the palms of the pro-Russian government. They overthrow that, and they're like, ah, shit. Like, we just spent all that money for nothing. Like, now what do we do? Like, we're going straight to the source, which is the U.S.
Yeah.
Who was in charge of Ukraine policy at that time?
Kamala Harris?
Joe Biden. Vice President Joe Biden.
I guess Kamala Harris, because she's the one that went on stage and told Russia that Ukraine was going to join
NATO. Yeah.
Which actually, the next day, I think they invaded.
That's right.
Ukraine.
Yeah, Burisma goes to the U.S., works out a deal with Joe Biden. Then we get this
coincidentally hires his son,
random guy, Hunter Biden, who's never had anything to do with energy policy or sat on a board of anything, is now on the board of Burisma all of a sudden.
Right.
Sure, it's a total coincidence. Donald Trump becomes president, starts asking questions like, hey, this is a little sketchy here. Then we get the Steele dossier and Russian collusion. And what is Trump? All media. A Putin puppet. That Steele dossier was financed by Hillary Clinton, by the way. Then Kamala Harris comes out, as you said, and goes, we're going to get Ukraine to join NATO. So Putin goes like, all right, that's it. He goes in and invades Ukraine. And what do we hear? Unprovoked attack.
He just out of the blue, just woke up one morning, decided to invade Ukraine.
Yes.
Because he wants to reconstitute the Soviet Union.
Now you can make the argument.
Something he's never said.
Yes, you can make.
But we know.
You can make the argument. It's the same thing as Osama bin Laden. It's the same thing as Saddam Hussein. Same thing as Assad. It's like you can make the argument that Putin's evil, that he's a liar, that he's a psychopath. You cannot call this an unprovoked attack. That does not hold water.
Yeah.
And I would venture to guess that all these dummies in my neighborhood with Ukrainian flags doesn't know one of those things, of everything I just laid out.
Probably never heard the name Victoria Nuland before.
Yeah.
Or Yanukovych.
I've never heard of that before. So, I don't know. I just wanted to lay out that the main point of this being going all the way, I really wanted to tie in the trans version of the Last Supper to Ukrainian political policy. It's always been a dream of mine. But when you see these media narratives and all media saying the exact same thing with a talking point is, at least like go through your brain, at least consider it as a possibility. That this is not an organic grassroots movement, that this is a top-down thing that's coming down, and you're being spoon-fed a narrative that you're supposed to go out there and parrot to everyone else like a useful idiot.
'Cause I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. And I'll be okay. Big on social graces, think I'll slip on down to the oasis. So I've got friends in low places.
guess I was wrong, I just don't belong. But then, I've been there before. Everything's alright, I'll just say goodnight and I'll show myself to the door. Hey, I didn't mean to cause a big scene. Just give me an hour and then all these highs that I